You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there, and welcome to the final episode of 2021. We made it through another year. Has it been a challenging one for you, or has it been one of your best years? I am curious about your perspective. What do you expect to be different next year, or next week for that matter? Because I recognize that you may not be hearing this at the time it is released. As I am recording this, next year is next week. That said, whenever you are listening, next week will always work. And I have been open with my thoughts about rituals of the new year. My position on the matter is that we are free to set goals and make changes at any time. We do not have to wait for a certain date on the calendar to roll around. We also don't have to react to a certain date on the calendar and try to force goal-setting activities if we aren't feeling it. It doesn't necessarily matter if that's the way we've always done it. What do you want? What does your heart desire? That is the question. And yes, perspective does play heavily into this. How are you seeing yourself right now? Your life and the way that it is unfolding in this moment is much about how you are viewing it, how you are taking in your movie. You may be loving the way that it's playing out, or you may be mortified by it. And by the way, everyone else is having their own experience of their own life and also of yours. Not everyone appreciates the same movies that you do. I just learned that one of my coaches absolutely loathes the movie Love Actually. What? How can this even be a thing? I adore that movie. Yet she thinks that it is a horrible depiction of love and that it is absolute trash. Now listen, we can still be friends if you don't like the same movies that I do. We can agree to disagree. Most of us can do that when it comes to appreciating things like movies, music, and art in general, clothing, hairstyle, home decor. It's all a matter of personal choice, and you can appreciate the choices of others without necessarily feeling pressured to incorporate it into your own life. What I want you to see is that your life is like a movie. I often use this analogy because I realized that's how I see my own life. So I find it so very helpful. And if that could be true, that your life is like a movie and others might not appreciate it the way that you do, then it could also be true that the way that it is unfolding is also something to be appreciated rather than forced. And what I'm specifically referring to here is this goal-setting notion that we have created for ourselves. What are you going to accomplish in the coming year, or the coming month, or the coming week? We often take on the perspective that we need to set worthy goals, whatever that even means. What does it mean to have a worthy pursuit? I mean, worth, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder, right? What I think is that we may at times be trying to fill a void. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy goal setting. I enjoy creating things from an idea and putting it out into the world. This podcast is a perfect example of that. Looking forward to your future is a wonderful experience. Until it isn't. Until you feel like you're stuck because you can't come up with anything new that lights you up. Or you get caught up in the how and start spinning in doubt or confusion. We can't force these things. We think we should be able to, especially if it's something that we've always done. If it's an annual exercise to set goals for the year or the month or the week, and suddenly we find ourselves with mental blocks, we think that something has gone wrong. We might even feel devoid of power on some level. And that comes from your belief, which is very integral to the way that you approach your life. If you believe that responsible, successful people set goals and then crush them with precision, then you're probably going to judge yourself as irresponsible. When we think we lack inspiration, that's exactly the time to get out of your head and into your body, to pay attention to the sensations and where they are showing up for you instead of allowing your thoughts to churn. Newsflash, it is not all about intellect. Also, it's important to have awareness that, as another of my amazing coaches, Leanna, says, inspiration is fleeting. I first heard that from her, and she probably heard it from someone else, but the day I heard her say that, it really resonated with me. It was a gut punch, a realization, a knowing. Why, yes, inspiration is, in fact, fleeting. It is temporary. Inspiration can feel like a wonderful thing in the moment. It can propel you in the moment. It can be responsible for some of your greatest creations or experiences in life if you make the decision to channel it and make it work for you. But it is not necessarily an emotion that you feel all the time or throughout your action taking when you are working toward a goal. It might get you started, but the thing that keeps you going is embodiment. Really sinking into the knowing of who you are and who you are becoming. And embodiment is not always pretty. It is not always rainbows and freaking butterflies. Sometimes it's work. Sometimes we have to dismantle old beliefs to get there. The thing is, we don't always know when inspiration will hit us. We just don't. And so this notion that we need to be inspired, to set intentions and goals for the year or the month or the week or even the damn day is honestly quite silly when you really think about it conceptually. We don't necessarily get to pick and choose when our inspiration happens. Now, we certainly will gravitate toward people, places, and things that resonate with us on some level. When we start the discovery of what lights us up, we want more of it. And we go on our search for more of it. We may attend an event or have a conversation, read a great book, or participate in whatever the experience is that brings inspiration. But then, what do we do with that fire in our bellies? That's the key. And that is what my friend Leanna was referring to when she said that inspiration is fleeting. Indeed. So why is it that when the end of the calendar year rolls around, we start searching for the inspiration? Well, because it feels fantastic, let's be honest. I love to be inspired. Who doesn't? But as long as we're talking about all of the opportunities for learning and growth, we should probably take a look at those times that we try to force it, and then judge ourselves for not being able to find it with ease. I want you to think about one thing, and then I want you to get out of your head. Yes, I want you to get out of your damn mind, because it's the loudest voice in the room. the one thing I want you to think about is the time that you sought out inspiration and found it. The time that you got all fired up from another human, an event, an experience, whatever it may have been. And you may have placed yourself in that position with an expectation that you would receive inspiration, or it may have just surprised you. Either scenario can be true. It has certainly been true for me. I have had experiences that I expected would lead to inspiration that didn't, and vice versa. Just being open to the possibility of inspiration to strike whenever it does can be powerful in itself, for sure. Now, how many times have you effectively forced inspiration, especially around a date on the calendar? I know the new year takes some hits from me in this area. Facts. The reason is that I have danced this dance. I have tried to come up with the worthy pursuits and the bomb-ass goals, new habits, all of the things. Of course I've done it. And it never really fulfills me. It just felt like going through the motions because I was supposed to. I wasn't inspired. I was trying to force inspiration. The things I have accomplished and the goals that I have reached have come from that place where inspiration did hit me, but it's like that spark. It is fleeting. You have to nurture it and help develop it into the flame of potential. You have to want it. So when you come up against what seems like a wall of apathy and you can't seem to find that inspiration, instead of trying to force it, why not take a look at the apathy instead? What's driving that? Maybe you're tired of going through the motions. Maybe you're feeling a bit of confusion or overwhelm. Those feelings aren't wrong. It's just that those are the ones we tend to wallow in, and they can keep us stuck. But acknowledge when you are feeling them. Don't try to rush yourself out of them. Bring your curiosity into play. What is this about? And maybe you truly have all that you need in this moment. In this moment. Maybe today is a day that you simply are not into the notion of planning and creating goals. Nothing has gone wrong if that is the case. But your mind tries to convince you that it is wrong. This isn't you. It's not who you are. You are better than this. You've always been able to do it before. Where is my inspiration? Stop thinking so much. Quiet the chatter. You will more often find what you are looking for when you stop searching for it and just allow it to come to you on its own time. Our entire lives we have been taught and then further conditioned to think about everything, which is how the mind becomes the loudest voice in the room. Especially when it comes to judging. Oh, we are so good at that. We surely judge others, but more often we are all about bashing ourselves when we can't come up with that worthy pursuit, that brilliant idea, that lofty goal. It's one thing to work toward the goal and make it happen. It's another thing entirely when you can't even dream it up to begin with. So I think it is times like these where we can really sit with ourselves and just work toward tuning into the signals in our bodies. Maybe you need to get up from the desk and take a walk outside if the weather is cooperating. Move around, get that energy flowing through you. You're just going to become further frustrated with yourself if you've already journaled and pondered and wondered where that spark is. Listen to a good audiobook or a podcast, your favorite music. Listen to nature. Be with yourself. There are a million ways that inspiration may come to you if you open yourself up to it. It may be something as simple as a word or phrase, or you hear someone say something that is just really hits in some kind of way. That's your spark. The key is to pay attention to when it ignites within you and then get to the business of applying it to your life. Simply coming up with a list of things to accomplish may not be cutting it anymore if you're feeling that apathy toward it. Maybe it worked in the past, and that's great, and maybe you have evolved beyond that and your soul is craving something deeper. What's important to get to the bottom of is why you are feeling disconnected from the entire experience. And you may need to look into some dark corners to find it. This may not be an easy exercise. Maybe you had a recent visit with family over the holidays or an otherwise unpleasant experience any other time of the year, and you haven't addressed the angsty parts of that within yourself. I don't know. That could be an example. Think about the encounters that you've had recently that may have triggered you in some way, and you swept it under the proverbial rug because you had work to do, kids to take care of, places to be. When we leave things unresolved, they will come back. Listen, this is not the fun part, but it is so very necessary. And I'm not talking about confronting anyone either. I'm talking about having an internal conversation with yourself, taking just a moment to parent your inner child and asking what's wrong. How can I help? Who hurt you? How can we find the ways to help you see that other humans will do what they do? And maybe it's not even about you. Could that be true? The point of this is we often can't see the root of the problem because we have become so adept at avoiding this part of the process. Not fun, so very necessary. And if you really hate the idea of this mental exercise, I want you to think about what your least favorite physical exercise is. For me, it's HIIT. Not a fan. Never have been and probably never will be. However, when I commit to the activity itself, and once I get started, I'm able to go all in until it's finished. And how do I feel afterward? Exhilarated, lighter. Notice I didn't say forced here. I was very careful to avoid that word. I said committed. Commit to the process, but don't force it. You may not feel exhilarated after a mental exercise to explore what's really bothering you beneath the surface. You may feel a bit exhausted, but you will also feel free and lighter just in having that knowing. The realization itself is truly going to help you move forward, because when you know what it is, you can start the process of letting go, releasing what has been weighing you down. Now, before I wrap this up, I also want to make it very clear that everything I have said here is with the assumption that you are operating on a functional level. However, if you are struggling in a lot of areas of your life, if you lack the desire to get out of your pajamas, brush your hair, go to work, connect with friends, or do the household chores, well, let's be honest, I really never have motivation to do that last one. If you just want to check out of more than one area of your life, you may be experiencing either situational depression, or if it is a dark and dreary time of year weather-wise where you live, you could be experiencing seasonal affective disorder. I definitely have bouts of the latter every winter season, and I know the things that work for me. I can keep myself at a high level of function for the most part throughout that time, though there are still moments that I just allow myself to rest, and that is okay too. You might need to see a therapist for support. Coaching is not intended to replace therapy. We can and do work together at times in a complementary manner. Other times it's a handoff. Use the therapy to get you to a functioning level, and then use coaching to help take you to the next level, propel you forward, get you unstuck. Use therapy to process your childhood traumas and your repressed emotions. use coaching to learn all of the ways that your brain tries to trick you into playing it safe and therefore limiting your growth. This is a very high-level, simplistic overview of the differences between therapy and coaching because that is not the topic today. But I want to stress the importance of having an awareness of where those lanes are. I say this because I want to see you succeed in your endeavors, and I want you to find the right formula of support that works for you as an individual. I am always more than happy to have a conversation with you about this, as well as the topic of inspiration as a whole. So take a look at what really has you feeling that void today. Awareness is everything. As Rumi says, if light is in your heart, you will find your way home. I love this. You might just need to get out of your head and look into your heart to find what you are seeking. That just might be the thing to do. I wish you a healthy, safe, and prosperous year whenever or wherever you are. Check links in show notes and reach out to schedule a conversation with me. It is my favorite thing to do. Light up, shine on,